Well, Michigan basketball reached the Sweet 16. We have a national championship game for you. It is Florida and Houston, and that belongs to two teams that have 7 or more juniors or seniors on each team. And it's funny. I laugh. I love the fact that Coach K at Duke said that freshmen cannot beat an all senior team, a senior latent team. It cannot happen, will never happen. And since then, Duke lost, this season. So, gives you a little bit of context on that video I posted last night. I wanted Duke to lose just simply for that fact. But here is a whole video on how Michigan basketball is here and is going to get better as the years go along. And it's past and present. So, how did we get here? The people of Michigan simply want to know the rules. And once they know those rules, they tend to dominate in legal fashion. NIL and tampering is now legal, especially for the University of Michigan. They have figured out the loopholes and have served it well. I will spare you the Cassie Russell and early days of the University of Michigan, although it is quite fascinating in itself because they are the ones that put the University of Michigan basketball on the map. But 36 programs have national championships, or 37 now, depending, in college basketball. And Michigan is one of those. They won that one title in 1989 when Bill Frieder, the then head coach of the Michigan basketball program, was ousted because he accepted a job at another school, Arizona State. This was during a season where Michigan was entering the NCAA tournament with a 24-7 record. Rightfully so, by none other than Bo Schembechler. This guy was ousted. He said a Michigan man is going to coach Michigan, and that is what happened. Steve Fisher came in until he was ousted there a couple years later. So, they won it all with Steve Fisher in 1989 as interim head coach. You've seen the Fab Five documentary, and I understand that NIL has been happening for decades, but Michigan basketball went into kind of a dark age after this scenario where Michigan won that national championship and 2 Final Four banners from the Fab Five were removed because of the scandal, because of the, I forget his name, but he was paying players at Michigan and it was ousted. So Michigan couldn't get through Duke and couldn't get through North Carolina to win those 2 Final Fours that were vacated. And Mike K., the coach at Duke, Coach Krzyzewski, said freshmen cannot beat seniors. I love that quote because he is right. All of their one-and-done teams at Duke haven't won yet, including this year with freshman Cooper Flagg. So, a star who did not win for Duke, which gave me a ton of joy, and I had to come on and show you that video that I posted last night. But what happens next is extraordinary. As you know, after that, sanctions and coaching held Michigan back for quite a while, but Michigan is resilient. Ellerby was terrible as head coach. Tommy Amaker, a former Duke player, had some good seasons, but was always handcuffed by the sanctions and rebuilding Michigan's basketball brand, and it didn't work out in the end, even though he had a pretty good record. And even though he got Michigan to their first national ranking in 8 years, they were actually ranked in the AP after Tommy Amaker's last season. But enter John Beilein, of course, arguably the greatest coach in Michigan basketball history, not only because of his record, but because he got Michigan back on track nationally. And within the first Big Ten, by getting players that will stay 3 to 4 years mostly. So he was getting players that would end up staying. But development of Michigan's Beilein staff may have been too good, because his players started to have situations where they went pro as sophomores and wanted to go pro into the G League of the NBA. And they were, of course, glad to take some of these players from the University of Michigan, even if the player was not ready to go pro. And John Beilein eventually left for the NBA because of this fact. You know, he was getting 3 stars and turning them pro as sophomores. He was doing too good. He thought he had a plan where you could have a senior latent team every so often. This guy made it to 2 national championships. And after his 2018 appearance where he lost to Villanova, he left the program and went to the Cleveland Cavaliers. But Beilein rebuilt the program, and we all know that. And it took a bit of time. His first NCAA tournament was in his second year. Michigan's first NCAA tournament since 1998. He won the Big Ten regular season titles in 2012 and 2014. He won the Big Ten tournament titles in 2017 and 2018. He made the Sweet 16 5 times out of his 12 years at Michigan. And he had the most tournament wins with 2 national championship trips when he, at the point where, in the past few years, at the point where he decided to go to the pros. Michigan was on the rise, but Beilein got sick of NIL and all the things that go with it. Enter Fab Five himself for the University of Michigan on this program, Juwan Howard. The first thing he did for the program was win off of Beilein's players, of course, that wanted to stay. But he wanted one and dones. He wanted those type of people instead of the 3 to 4 year players that John Beilein wanted in recruiting. And that's exactly what he got. He got one of the best classes in year 1 and done players. And Juwan Howard's recruiting classes were top notch. But the coaching wasn't that good enough to get these youngsters to win. And that is what Coach K always said about Juwan and the Fab Five decades before. Freshmen cannot win. So, Juwan was a bad coach that exacerbated his short leash by being a bad little boy. Temper tantrums, swatting another coach, other things cost him. And I was rooting for him early, but Michigan held on to him 2 years too long, in my opinion. After he went 8-24, he could not ruin what Beeline built any longer, and the powers that be said it is time for Juwan Howard to go. He won with Beelines early and got worse later. Still, under Juwan, he made 2 Sweet 16s and 1 Elite 8. And that is a major factor for new coaches that have a craving to win, because Michigan now has NIL resources and can be channeled in legal ways. And Michigan got the best coach of the cycle in Dusty May. Dusty May realized he couldn't win or go to the Sweet 16 with the current roster that he had, or freshmen. So he went to the portal, and he got the best players the portal could buy for Michigan at the time, which got him to the Sweet 16. The likes of Trey Donaldson, Vlad Golden, Danny Wolf, all these people, Roddy Gale, all these people that have came and now are gone, got him to the Sweet 16. Now he has used the portal again and is circling high school ranks, of course. College basketball is wildly different than football in the sense that there are always a higher percentage of basketball players that leave every year than football players, because there's only 12 or 16 on a current roster for a basketball team. 105 now is legal through scholarships on the football team. So it is important to eventually get a group of upperclassmen, in my opinion. How can they do that going forward? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting, because Florida, they have to get more experienced players, because Houston and Florida are playing for the national championship game. And as I said, Florida has 7 juniors or seniors on their team. Houston has 7 juniors or seniors as well. Houston could get their first national championship after some of the sanctions earlier themselves. Phi Slamma Jamma. They had some NCAA issues of their own in basketball and in football. So could they get their first ever basketball championship? And can Florida get their 3rd ever basketball championship? But both of them have upperclassmen. So my point is, does Dusty May recruit the portal only going forward again to create a culture, or fill in for a culture that recruits could set themselves? It's a dichotomy that we have. Do you want to build from within, or keep replacing and have to keep learning new players, and players have to keep learning themselves every year on the team? One thing that Dusty May has done is make it fun for all the players on the team to play in a game at the University of Michigan once again. Something that John Beeline did with a faster pace, 3-point shooting that attracts top players. Attracts top players in today's college basketball. And so far, Dusty May has attracted 3 of the top 6 portal players going into 2026. 25-26. Yaxel Lendenberg was the number 1 player on the board at the time of his commitment to the University of Michigan. This happened just a couple of days ago. He was a power forward at UAB that went for 18 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, 4 assists per game. He was 52% from the field as well, and that is good for a 6'9" player. He also had 2 blocks per game in the American. Mraz Johnson Jr. was a power forward from Illinois. and he is 6'9" as well. He averaged 7 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, and shot 64% from the field, coming in for Dusty May from Illinois is kind of a rival now in the sense that we haven't beaten them in a long, long time, and one of their players decided to come to us. And then, of course, the point guard from North Carolina, Elliot Cadeau, comes in. He is 6'1". All right, but he had 9 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, and 6 assists per game, which is awesome. That's exactly what we need for this offense going forward. A Dusty May offense that is high tempo, get to the rim, all that stuff. Assists are welcome. And he shot 45% from the field, 34% from three-point land, so that is welcome as well. Dusty May is also targeting high school players and has 2 commitments so far for next season. Trey McKinney, the center guard, is number 21 nationally, number 3 at his position, number 1 from the state of Michigan. He is 6'4" and 225 pounds as a center guard. Combo guard, so he could be point guard or any type of guard. He has the size, maybe he can go small forward as well in a small lineup. All right. Is he a one and done for this team? And that's kind of the point of this whole video. What is Dusty May going after? If he is, I hope he helps out Michigan on the court before he leaves. If this guy stays 2 to 3 years, then Michigan has a shot at winning a national championship down the road, in my opinion. I do hope he leaves after year 1, because in my mind, then that means he was good, an amazing freshman, good enough to win it all for the University of Michigan, which would rub it in the face of Coach K and Duke. So it is unlikely that that happens in his first season as a freshman, but he's got to have that stick-to-itiveness. Stick with it. Like Coach Bo Schembechler said, those who stay will be champions. And anyone under Dusty May so far at Michigan has been a champion. And they went to the Final Four at his past stop at FAU. So, Winters Grady is also on the roster now, small forward, 6'5", 185 pounds. He is number 78 nationally as a freshman and number 19 small forward. Number 10 from the state of California. So can Michigan hold on to their 7-footers? We've heard already that Trey Donaldson transferred out. Jace Howard, of course. Sam Walters, the 6'10 sharpshooter, is out. So can Michigan hold on to one of the 7-footers? And I think maybe one can't. Vlad Golden has to go pro because he's out of eligibility. Someone told me that, but if he is with eligibility, we have to go get that guy. We have to keep him here at the University of Michigan. Otherwise, you got to keep Danny Wolf. If not, the finesse 7-footer. So, can he go get a 7-footer in the transfer portal still? I think that is important for Dusty May. Even though he wants to be high flying and everything, you still have to have a post presence. He is all about speed and execution. And a lot of Michigan turnovers were by the Twin Towers last season, so I expect, smaller players not turning the ball over as often. But I want a traditional low post presence going forward. I do. Even if most of you think it is outdated. Because for the ability to set up a guy down low in the post. A team ought to have every way to win certain games, and sometimes a post presence is exactly the way you need to win. Feed the guy down low. And I expect Vlad Golden to go pro because of what I just said. But Danny Wolf has to decide. Regardless of what happens on this in this off season, I have ultimate faith in Dusty May going forward. But more importantly, I think the people behind the program have been faithful and versatile. During all of this, where Michigan has been learning as a program and getting better and learning the NIL and actually playing everything by the rules for the basketball program and football program for that matter, sign stealing, blah, doesn't matter. They played by the rules. Anyway, they know the rules. They have waited. And now, Michigan is going to be a top dog. And during all that time, Michigan wasn't a top dog. They had to go against Tom Izzo and Michigan State. And they have been lauded and favored by the national media, but could only come up with one national championship under Tom Izzo in the past 25 years. And that was in his, he was there for years before that. He was assistant before that. So Judd Heathcote and him got MSU 2 national titles. They have one more than the University of Michigan. I would love to see the University of Michigan tie that up and take over the state in basketball. I love Tom Izzo, but as soon as he retires, the entire state will be rooting for Dusty May in basketball going forward, and that's what we have to look forward to as Michigan fans. They always said you have to go with the common denominator. What wins? Tom Izzo was winning. Michigan has been on a tear for the last 35 years. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Like the video, please. Share with other people. Michigan is here to stay. Dusty May is the guy to do it. Let's go, baby. Have a great day out there, everybody, and go blue.